last year and this current fiscal year, but we also understand some of our private HBCUs, play a really important role for expanding opportunity. So in our governor's recs. But you do that, and you never know how it's going to make it through the legislature when you get into those situations. But as we were going through the legislative session, and you have people like Representative Bush, who's here, who really pushed hard and helped us get it into the budget. And then obviously a lot of the folks you see up here were really instrumental in making sure that it got through what the legislature was going to do. And so that was really, really significant. Now, that was really only half the battle, because we were in a situation where the economy changed a lot, obviously, since March, and I think we're going to be able to recover, but that impacts the budget situation. And so I went into looking at the budget saying, okay, we have all these historic victories. We want to preserve those, but we also are called upon to find historic savings through budget vetoes. And so we ended up vetoing $1 billion. Some of the stuff was in my budget, some of the stuff was personal to me, like my own job growth grant fund. But we had to make choices to do it. And I felt that when you look at things like taking the minimum teacher salary to the top 5 in the nation, when you talk about some of the things we've done with environment, when you talk about some of the things we've done from infrastructure, we needed to do what we could to preserve that, and we did. But we also, I believe that what we did with HBCUs this year was really significant. And I could say wait till next year, but it may not have happened next year. So I wanted to make sure we preserved this support for HBCUs. So we were able to do that. We're able to be here today, to celebrate that victory. Mary McLeod Bethune's 145th birthday is coming up on July 10th. And so her vision for this university and others like it, I think, are really why we're here today, why we all came together to be able to provide this support. So these investments in the budget are significant. You're talking about an increase of $13 million for Bethune-Cookman here. You're talking about an increase of $3.5 million for Florida Memorial and an increase of $3.5 million for Edward Waters College. And we're going to have Representative Bush come and talk, and then you're going to hear from the presidents. This is really, really meaningful. The funding will help advance academics, research, and education of students at Florida's HBCUs, 3 of whom are ranked within the top 50 of historically black colleges and universities, according to U.S. News and World Report. This is an important part of Florida's history, and it's an important part of having opportunity for all Floridians. And I must say, for Black History Month at the Governor's Mansion, when we had our reception, I think Bush, you helped bring the Florida Memorial folks there. We had the FAMU band and everything. It was really, really neat. And so I want to thank them for being very active in this legislative session, coming up to the Governor's Mansion to celebrate Black History Month, and obviously for all that they're doing to support opportunity for young folks in the state of Florida. So I want to bring up Representative Bush, who came to see me last year, was talking about a number of things, and I know all the HBCUs are important to him, but specifically down near where he lives in Miami-Dade County with Florida Memorial University. So Representative Bush, come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Governor. To our president of Bethune-Cookman, Dr. Kraft, and to all of the other presidents of our HBCU schools, and all of my colleagues that are here, the chairman of the board of Bethune-Cookman, the Alumni Association members, and to each of you in your respective places. Mr. Governor, I just put a couple of notes to stay on point. So I'm just so I can take a minute, because if I didn't do this, it'll be 15 minutes. But let me just say that I want to thank you, Mr. Governor, for being here. As a graduate of the class of 1979, I'm proud, and I see one of my classmates there. I'm honored to be here to be a part of this historic event. Let me just say that our founder, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, started this great institution on October the 3rd, 1904, with faith in God, $1.50, and 5 little girls. I thank God for the Florida legislature. All of the members, all are not here, but some of them are here today. I thank God for all of the participants in making this happen. And these are recurrent dollars. All of those dollars, they are recurrent dollars, Mr. Governor. And I thank God for our governor, Governor Ron DeSantis. I want to ask y'all to give him a round of applause at this time. I'm going to tell you the reason why I thank God for Governor Ron DeSantis. He has extended more life to the dream, to the vision, and the legacy of our founder, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. The ancient Egyptians said, when you remember the dead, you bring them back to life. Mr. Governor, as we gather here today at this appointed place and anointed time to recommit ourselves to the legacy of our founder, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, to enter, to learn, and depart to serve. You, Mr. Governor, with a stroke of a pen, you now have afforded thousands of black boys and girls an opportunity to enter this institution of higher learning, to achieve the vision, to enter this institution to learn and depart from this institution to serve humanity. What a marvelous return from God to our founder, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, just having faith in God, $1.50, and stepping out with 5 little girls. But watch this. And her return of her investment of $1.50, and God used the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, in her investment of $1.50, and she returned this year $13 million. I think that deserves a round of applause. That's a good return. So on behalf of all of the Alumni Association members, not only in the state of Florida, but all over this country, Governor DeSantis, I want to say that we thank you very much. In closing, there's an old saying, action speaks louder than words. And I'm left with no other option but to proclaim this day and to go on record that I believe that Governor Ron DeSantis, he is a friend to HBCU schools. Would you agree with me on that? Never happened in the history of the state of Florida. This governor, God used him to make this happen today. So, Governor, I want to thank you for coming to my alma mater. I want to thank you for what you have done today, because what you have done today, you have now put yourself and written yourself in the history books of black history. Thank you, Mr. Governor, for this opportunity.
Well, thanks, Representative Bush. Really appreciate those kind words. We've got the three presidents here, so I want to bring all of them up one at a time. So we'll start with our host today, President Crite from Bethune-Cookman University. So come on up.
Thank you very much. Representative Bush, I'd really rather not follow you, but that is my due today. So let me say, first of all, good afternoon. On behalf of the students, faculty, staff, and community at Bethune-Cookman University, it is my sincere privilege to welcome Governor Ron DeSantis and members of his team to the great Bethune-Cookman University. We are honored to have you. I want to express, on behalf of this community and its many alumni and stakeholders, our most sincere appreciation to you for your leadership and your generous support of our beloved institution. To Senator Bracey, Representative Anton, Representative Fedorov, Representative Bush, to members of my own leadership team, particularly Dr. Bearden, and Mr. Golden, and of course to our amazing students, and to so many others who were instrumental in this support. We are eternally grateful. I also must thank and acknowledge my colleague, friend, and boss, Judge Belvin Perry, the chair of our board, who in many ways was really the catalyst to this event. And we don't have time to get into that, but you need to understand the yeoman-like effort that went to even getting this on the agenda. And for that, we are grateful. I want to also thank Ms. Cash Jackson for her stewardship of this initiative, and of course, Trustee Gibbons for his yeoman-like effort in support of our work. Now, I'll be really brief here, but I don't need to remind you how critical the support is to Bethune-Cookman University, Edward Waters College, or Florida Memorial University, the state's 3 private HBCUs. The investment in these institutions on the part of the state of Florida is obviously and demonstrably critical. But so too are the signal effects. With this budget line, the state affirms its recognition of the extraordinary contribution and legacy of these 3 institutions. And today in particular, universities, and especially HBCUs, are faced with profound and even existential challenges. These challenges are only matched by the utter necessity of our work and the recognition of the role we assume in bridging the gap between ability and access for some of the state's most vulnerable, marginalized, and brilliant students. So it is a blessing to be able to serve our communities, and because of the support from Governor DeSantis and the state of Florida, we are so thrilled at the prospect of working to continue to fulfill our mission, support our students, and to actively and enduringly contribute to the state of Florida. Thank you.
All right, President Faison, come on.
Good afternoon. On behalf of our Board of Trustees, our entire administration, faculty, staff, and students, I am delighted to bring you greetings from the state of Florida's first independent institution of higher education and first historically black college or university at the Edward Waters College, where we are best known as Jacksonville's higher educational crown jewel. Certainly, I am just delighted and so thankful first to our distinguished governor, Governor DeSantis, for this tremendous investment in the future of Edward Waters College and all of the HBCUs that are a part of this great state. Certainly to the members of the Florida State Legislature that collectively came together and thought enough of these historic institutions to make this kind of investment. And certainly want to thank all of the members of the Legislative Black Caucus here in Florida that championed this cause for our institutions. I would be remiss if I did not especially thank the Jacksonville delegation that has really championed this cause for Edward Waters College, and certainly the portion of that delegation that represents our institution, Senator Audrey Gibson, and also one of our alumni, Representative Tracy Davis, who also were real champions for this as it relates to Edward Waters College. I'll be brief, but in one word, Governor, the word is transformative. This is truly a transformative investment for Edward Waters College. We talk about gap funding. Many of the students that come to EWC, as do also attend the other institutions in this state, don't drop out. Many times they stop out because of financial difficulties. And so this is going to enable literally thousands and thousands of our students to remain in our institutions. And even those that may have left, we can now reclaim them because of this additional support. And so, Governor, we are so most thankful for that. And then we talk about the promulgation of additional academic programs. I know for us at EWC, we're looking to be able to utilize these funds, Governor, to be able to bring on new academic programs, computer and information science, forensic science, social work, and then also the advent of our first graduate degree program, which ultimately, Governor, will lead to Edward Waters College being transformed from Edward Waters College to, at long last, Edward Waters University. And so we are just so, we are brimming with anticipation and so very, very thankful for the tremendous investment and the transformative work that you led, Governor, and that our state legislature led. So thank you so very much, and God bless.
All right, President Hardrick, Florida Memorial. The floor is yours.
Okay, I'm one of those guys, I have to take my glasses off when I read, unfortunately. But first of all, let me just say, on behalf of our students, our Board of Trustees, our faculty, our staff, our administration, Governor, you have done something that is truly outstanding. And from the depth of our hearts, sir, I want to say thank you for the impact that you're making. And as Representative Bush said, you have definitely been one of those leaders who have stepped up to the challenge and done exactly what you promised to do. So when he mentioned about Florida Memorial's Ambassador Corral during Black History, I brought our Florida Memorial Corral. There were probably about 75 of us deep in the governor's house. And, the governor said to me, "Oh my, what talent." So as they were singing, I saw the governor bopping, right? So I was like, so he got some moves, he got some moves. And so the thing that he said to me most importantly after that one particular comment, he says, "I want you to know that I'm here to support you, Florida Memorial University," and he's done exactly that by virtue of his allocation, again, through the $3.5 million funding that he's made to our university. Governor, thank you so much. Let's give him, show him some real love. And so, Governor, I won't take up much time, but just as my previous presidential colleagues have alluded, sir, this support is going to allow us the opportunity to give students, undeserving students, an opportunity to be able to have access to a quality education. It's going to allow many of them to walk the finish line, and they don't have to stop out anymore to go home and continue to help support family members, but they will have the resources necessary to complete their educational degrees. It is also going to make a difference in the sense that we are now going to be able to enhance our educational offerings, our degree offerings to so many. And I'm just excited about what this funding is going to do. It is truly transformational. Governor, thank you so much. Representative Bush and the rest of our lawmakers behind me and those who were a part of this decision making, thank you so much for your support of Florida Memorial University and Florida's historical Black universities. Thank you, Governor.
Well, thank you so much. You know, we have a lot of great things going on in Florida with respect to education. And clearly, you know, our HBCUs are an important part of that, whether it's the state with FAMU, whether it's our private HBCUs. We really want Florida to be a place where there's unlimited opportunity for young people. That starts obviously with our K through 12, and Bush was with me the other day when we did a bill signing for some expansion of scholarships, which is very important. Some of the folks were also there for our teacher announcement. So really from K through 12 all the way up to higher ed, we want to be the place where people can go get the skills they need and then be able to succeed. So yes, we're supporting you, but I believe your mission will help support the state and its future. And so that's why we're doing it. So I want to thank everyone for coming today. And with that, we can open it up.
Governor, looking forward to 4th of July weekend. We know that locally we have someone that said that their family is coming from down south to Central Florida because the beaches are closed down south. So far, our local leaders have said they want to keep the beaches open for July 4th. Do you think that's a good idea?
So I think the science is pretty clear on this at this point. I, in March, felt this way, but we've seen the demonstration. doing things outdoors in Florida is less risky than doing things where you're packed indoors. So I think having the parks and having beaches, obviously, it needs to be controlled. I think most of the localities like Brevard and here in Volusia have done that. But by and large, the virus does not like sunshine, heat, and humidity. I think every study has shown that. I think if you look at the contact tracing and I try to identify outbreaks, very few outbreaks from something like a park or a beach. And so let's understand that. For the 4th of July, I'm more concerned about people crowding into the AC and having private parties and things like that where you're real close contact. Virus likes that kind of an environment better, and so people do that. Now, we've talked about avoiding closed spaces, really close contact, particularly in areas that have poor ventilation. And I think as you look and to see around the world, in the United States and Florida, where some of the outbreaks and clusters emerge from, it's a pretty consistent theme about really those really close indoor things. And so I just think that. But I think the most important message as you're looking, because we're seeing these cases from coast to coast across the Sun Belt, from Los Angeles to the Carolinas, obviously Florida, Georgia is involved in that, Texas. Part of that is because we're testing more, but you are seeing higher levels of people test. The positive rate used to be, in May, we were 2%, 3% as a state. And now we've been 10 to 15% pretty much for the past 2 weeks. So that is something that we would like to see go back down. And part of that is just people, I think now that they understand again, because I think after Memorial Day, when it fell out of the news, people kind of just thought it's over because our numbers were very low, very consistent all through May, beginning of June. And then I think kind of some of the just easy things that you can do, I think fell down by the wayside a little bit. Now people understand this thing doesn't just go away. You can do a lot of things. If you just take some small precautions, you're going to be okay. So we understand. I think people understand that. We're seeing this, and now people interested to test, particularly young people. One of the things with these test results, it's the median age has been in the 30s now. It used to be in the 50s just like a month ago. So you have more and more young people that are doing it. Fortunately, they tend to be asymptomatic or minimally symptomatic. But I would say one thing we all have to work on is protecting the vulnerable. As we see some of the spread that's occurred in different parts of the state, if you're 65 or older, take the measures necessary to avoid crowds and limit close contact outside your household, and as well as if you're somebody who may be under 65 but has some significant underlying medical conditions. That is the profile of the folks who tend to suffer significant clinical consequences, whether it's a serious hospitalization, and then obviously the vast majority of COVID-related fatalities have been in that group. And so protect the elderly, protect those who are medically fragile. We've advised since March for them to limit contact and avoid crowds, but then everybody else not outside of that, we all have a responsibility to not put any of our seniors or anybody who's medically fragile in jeopardy with our own conduct. And so I would just tell people, be very cautious of that, be cautious of parents and grandparents in the interactions that you may have. This thing this is not like everyone's testing 50, 60% like we saw in other parts of the country and the world, but we went from 4 or 5% to now 10 to 15%. So you do see more prevalence. That's just the bottom line.
Governor, you extended the moratorium.
If I can ask you, in hurricane season, forecasters always have to look far out what may be coming. Economically, can you describe your action plan and your forecast, still considering there are thousands of March and April applicants still waiting on unemployment benefits, and also stress about moratorium coming at the 11th hour? Well,
I'm pleased. I think we've now hit $8 billion in benefits that have been paid out. There have been over 1.5 million individual claimants that have had claims paid. If you look at the jobs numbers, we haven't lost that many jobs. We've lost over 1 million. Part of it is because you're getting the gig workers and the contractors through the Federal CARES Act unemployment money, and so we've been doing that. So we're paying out a huge amount of money. And I know DEO has gone back for the last month trying to figure out anyone else who may have fallen through the cracks. But we've paid out 1.5+ million individual claimants and now over $8 billion. And so we're happy to have done that. And then last night I went ahead and extended the eviction moratorium for another month. Yes, sir.
In other parts of the country, we're hearing recommendations for people just to
Well, I think the folks that we really want to be cautious are the folks who are the most at risk. And so if you're somebody who is 65 or older, if you're somebody that has a significant underlying medical condition, maybe your immune system's compromised, some of the other key indicators that we've been talking about for months, I would be very cautious about the close contacts that you're having outside the home. I think that that's something that is, it makes sense. I think people understand that. And by and large, I think the folks who have been in that 65 and plus have been very, very cautious and diligent throughout these many months. I do think naturally, just as it fell out of the news for a couple weeks, I think people just tend to think, and so now I think they understand, no, we kind of got to get through. You're seeing this all across the Sun Belt, and we got to remain diligent. So that would be my main message is, the vulnerable, understand that this thing's still out there, understand that you can take a lot of actions to protect yourself, but then everybody else who may not be in that category really has a responsibility not to put any of those folks at risk.
Governor,
Yes,
I know
sir.
it's a balancing act between tenants and landlords with the moratorium on evictions, but can you explain why it went down to the wire last night, just a few hours before the...
We got a lot going on, man. I mean, we're working on 24/7 on a lot of different things. Obviously, we had the budget. I held the budget till the end because when they laid it on the desk, we were just now getting into seeing some of the COVID fallout. I mean, we knew COVID was here in March, but remember at that time, we were like testing, like New York did not have a documented case until I think like the first week of March. I think we were under the impression at the time, okay, we find a case, that's the only case here. And I think as the weeks went on, we started to understand this thing's actually been out there for a long time. So it just caused us to now, so it obviously had an economic effect. We're now in a situation where we have much better infrastructure in place, to help deal with it. But there's just a lot going on with that. The budget, I thought, should wait because I wanted to have all the information in front of me. We didn't lose as much revenue as they predicted in April, May, and June. We obviously took a hit, but I wanted to see, are we going to get more federal money? We may yet, but I couldn't depend on that. So we wanted to wait till the end. We had a lot of stuff, a lot of irons in the fire, and that's just kind of the nature of this. There's things happening all the time. We got a really big state, a lot going on. The epidemic is not uniform throughout the state. If you look at what's happening in Miami-Dade, that's different than what would be happening in like in Orange County or Volusia. I mean, Orange County, I think the median age has ranged the daily cases like 28 to 33 or something like that. Incredibly young. Miami is skewed younger than they were, but they're still, I think, in the early 40s. And so the shape of it just looks different. So that's all. There's just a lot going on, and we're trying to do the best we can. One more. With Mary McLeod, Bethune. So there we go.
I wonder if you could talk a little bit about whether you support that move and, just what your thoughts about why you might support that.
Well, I think we were the ones that sent the word to the Congress. Obviously, the legislature passed that before I got there. But I think Mary McLeod Bethune is somebody that really should be an inspiration to everybody in the state of Florida. And quite frankly, the story of all these universities. I mean, Florida Memorial. What were you? 1866?
1879.
79. You were 66. Yes. So they're coming out. This is post-bellum. Huge obstacles. I mean, you have Friedman going, and these folks are digging in, doing all they can to give people an opportunity in spite of huge odds. Yeah, we passed the post-Civil War amendments. That did not solve all the problems. And so they did that and fought against big obstacles. And then Mary McLeod as well in the beginning of the 20th century. So I think those are folks that we should really look to and understand. It's easy to do well when the going's good. It's easy to do well when you have a road paved for you. But when you have obstacle after obstacle, but you keep your nose to the grindstone, and that is really, I think, what America's all about. So we're here today because this is good for the state, but I do think that it's a symbol and a testament that we believe these HBCUs are an integral part of the history of the state of Florida. So God bless you guys. Thanks, everybody.
want me to pull the car